There is an update on US exposing the terror sponsors in Nigeria. Before we get into the video, take a look at this headline. Nnamdi Kanu has written to the US president asking him to investigate the killing of young people in Nigeria by the Nigerian military. We all know that under the Buhari's government, we saw a lot of that. In the name of looking for IPOB members, many innocent lives were caught up in those operations that were conducted in the Southeast. And Nnamdi Kanu is saying that Trump should also do a thorough investigation on what is going on in the Southeast. The headline here says, Kanu writes Trump seeks US probe into alleged killing in the Southeast. Now, also, a U.S. lawmaker is proposing a bill to sanction Miyetti Allah members. And this headline here says U.S. lawmaker proposes law to sanction Miyetti Allah leaders over attacks in Nigeria. I'm going to read a section of this post, and it says, a new bill which seeks to impose sanction and other restrictions on individuals and bodies allegedly responsible for violating religious freedom in Nigeria have been introduced to the U.S. Congress, adding a new dimension to the recent frosty relationship between Nigeria and the United States. The bill identifies Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, and Miyetti Allah Kautal Hall as entities to be sanctioned. Both organizations have been accused by some Nigerians in the past of masterminding some attacks by armed herders on rural communities. However, they've denied such allegations and instead said their members, who are cattle herders, were being attacked in different states. So guys, we saw that when Mr. Otom was the governor of Benue State. We all know how these Miyetti Allah people came out and even took responsibility for the crime in Benue State, and they were giving reasons that it was because, you know, their cattle were also taken or killed. That was why they went after human lives. That was the moment we saw people were saying that they would slit pregnant women open and bring out unborn babies and all kinds of things that have happened in Benue State. So guys, now the US is about to sanction these Miyetti Allah members. Let me show you how the sanction is going to go. This article reads further. The new bill recommends that the U.S. Department of State and Department of Treasury impose a visa ban, assets freeze, and other restrictive measures as punishment for the alleged violation. You see how U.S. is going to do that. They are going to be seizing their things and banning them from entering the U.S. and other measures. That is not just, other measures are going to be taking place. So guys, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at these videos talking about, you know, US naming those who are sponsoring terror in Nigeria. Take your time and watch these videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
President Donald Trump has doubled down on his claims of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. Well, in a new video released by the White House media team on Wednesday, Trump reiterated his stance that Christianity is facing an existential threat and vowed to defend Christians in Nigeria. Let's take a look.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition. When the Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. What horrible numbers. Something has to be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and to report back to me. And I mean, like, immediately. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible, horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. It's not only Nigeria, it's all over. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. This is not going to happen. The killing of Christians is not going to happen.
Well, this latest statement by Trump suggests that his administration remains unconvinced by Nigerian rebuttals and may proceed with threatened sanctions or even military actions. Well, Ted Cruz has been talking, and I'll read his post on X yesterday. It reads, Joe Biden turned a blind eye while radical Islamic terrorists slaughtered Christians in Nigeria. I am very grateful to President Trump for designating it a country of particular concern. Now, we should take the next step and hold Nigerian officials accountable, I intend to be very explicit about who they are in the coming days and weeks. Meanwhile, the federal government of Nigeria, during a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, accused foreign lobbyists of fueling the narrative of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, stated that government findings point to a network of external actors, particularly in the United States, deliberately promoting divisive and misleading portrayals of Nigeria's security challenges. Idris emphasized that while the administration recognizes insecurity has affected many communities, there is no evidence supporting claims of systematic targeting of any religious groups. Let's take a look.
We can say that, for example, Nigerian government has been able to have a correlation between some of these lobbies operating especially in the United States of America and the activities here. We have seen, and it's a matter of public record. If you go to the records of the United States, there is what is called the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It is clear there. You have seen that some of the influencers of these criminal activities have direct relationship with lobbyists in the US who have direct relationship with some of the people who are shouting about this issue outside this country.
Well, guys, this federal government's allegation of foreign lobbying adds, another dimension to the genocide debate. He's suggesting that, external interests may be manipulating Nigeria's internal security narrative for undisclosed purposes. In the same vein, senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, accused Donald Trump of lying to the world over allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria while speaking on live television. The human rights lawyer strongly rejected Trump's claims, stating that Trump lied without any evidence to back it up. Let's take a look.
Now, I'm going to look at the problems from the human rights perspective, not a diplomat. And my own position is that Mr. Trump has lied to the whole world by alleging Christian genocide in Nigeria. So it's a lie without any evidence to back it up. Now, he said about 3,100 people have been killed, Christians have been killed in Nigeria. It's unfortunate and nobody can support even the killing of a citizen of this country.
Well, Falana now joins other prominent figures to reject the genocide narrative. Before I come to you, I'll take this. Well, on February 14th, 2024, Bishop Wilfred Chikpa Anaigbe of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi made serious allegations before the United States Congress alleging systematic killings of Christians farming communities in Benue State, claiming that over 1,000 Christians had been killed, over 160 churches destroyed, and large swaths of land seized in the past decade. The bishop also testified on March 12, 2025, before the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa, accompanied by Reverend Father Remigius Iluha. Let's take a look.
Constitutionally, we are a secularist country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. The quest to Islamicize the land appears high on the agenda of some of the powerful and influential Muslims in Nigeria. There is a campaign to take land to spread Islam, and there is the hemorrhaging of Christian farmers from the central region of Nigeria and Benue State, and Makurdi Diocese in particular, as they are forced to abandon fertile lands that used to feed the nation, which classify Benue as the food basket of the nation. Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists destroying society. They steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it, they kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from the elected authorities. None of them have been arrested and brought to justice. This is supported by the corrupt system in which we operate and the abject poverty among us which allowed the criminals to easily attract more recruits and prey on more victims. At the end of 2024, several villages were warned by the attackers of the upcoming violence, and the leaders called the police for defense ahead of time. But they did not come, and the Christian massacres, almost customary, took place, killing hundreds in Plateau and Benue. The Militant also burned down the 8 Catholic churches of St. Mary's Parish in the Diocese of Boko, which in Benue State, as well as the parish house, clinics, schools, and other houses. We live in fear because at any point it can be our turn to be killed, but to remain silent is to die twice. So, I have chosen to speak. I speak on behalf of the millions who are in the camps. I speak on behalf of those whose loved ones have been killed, but no one has even offered a word of consolation to them. I speak on behalf of the thousands of young girls who have been adopted and raped because no one, not even the media, mentions them anymore. Foremost, I speak on behalf of my flock who are unable to worship freely and unable to return to their ancestral farms and homes because that land has been ruthlessly taken from them by the armed herdsmen. I request and I plead, I ask you to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern.
The bishop there requesting for Nigeria to be redesignated as a country of particular concern. Well, the bishop's testimony highlights the deep contested narrative around religious violence in Nigeria, while the bishop presents specific allegations of systematic targeting. Government officials maintain that terrorism affects all Nigerians regardless of faith. This leaves international observers to navigate the competing accounts of Nigeria's complex security challenges. And Rufai, so we've seen the bishop here and, other senators in America and, journalists across the globe submitting these sort of reports of what the bishop had described as a cleansing of Christians in the farmlands in his area. You heard him cry out. And we've seen these reports reverberate across the world right now after Trump's singular tweet. Your thoughts? People have said, oh, Trump didn't have evidence, Trump doesn't have information. But we don't have the information that the U.S. Department of State has at this moment.
Oji, God bless you for playing that tape. But you see, after playing that tape, I will still tell you that what that priest did report is still under-reporting because many of the cases are not reported. I read out a message about a vicar in Kaduna today, 600 million being asked. Many cases like that. But Oji, because I know the country I am from, I keep saying, let us stop the killings. Because the country I am from has now changed the conversation about Christians and Muslims, which is never the case. The point is, how will people commit crime and the state does not bring them down? And the state does not act as a deterrent from them to keep committing that crime. That's what I have a problem with. So that's why I campaign for stopping the killing. Because in the last 1 week, the conversation has shifted to which religion is being killed the most. And please, we should never fall into that confusion because it's that kind of confusion the political actors want. In all of this, none of them have come out to say, these are the advised steps we are going to take to stop the killings. The conversation has been, call Trump a liar, pit religions against each other, make a case that others too are being killed. But does it stop the killing of people?
No.
It doesn't.
No.
So please, the charge for the Nigerian government today, and the charge for everybody, Christians and Muslims and Shakmono worshippers and Ifa worshippers, we should all be united. We are all Nigerians.
All right.
The question is, how can we stop this killing?
Right.
The government should be charged to stop this killing.
Right.
If they're going to employ more military, if they're going to employ more security architecture, stop the killing. That's all we want.
That's the main point. And it is quite, it was good to see the federal government engage with journalists yesterday during that press conference. And I believe that the minister is saying that Nigeria is willing to collaborate, which is the main point that I keep stressing here, with, the United States to tackle this menace. Meanwhile, the Department of State Services in a statement on Tuesday, said that it is prosecuting several high-profile terrorism suspects with multiple ongoing trials before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja, who has granted the DSS's request for an accelerated hearing in some cases. Among the key trials are internationally wanted suspect Mahmoud Usman, the self-styled Emir of Ansaru, and Abubakar Abba, his deputy, are facing a 32-count terrorism charge, with Usman already sentenced to 15 years for an illegal mining count after pleading guilty, while Abba remains a not guilty plea. Their trial is set to continue on November 19th. The secret police also highlighted the trial of Khalid al-Barwani and 4 others accused of masterminding the 2011 UN complex bombing, a case previously delayed by procedural issues. Additionally, 5 suspects involved in the June 2022 Orwa Catholic Church attack, in which over 40 people died, are standing trial on a 9-count charge and were denied bail by Justice Nwite due to the capital nature of the alleged offenses and strong evidence of their membership in the Al-Shabaab terrorist group. Lastly, the DSS stated that it filed 6 separate terrorism-related charges against 9 suspects, including 2 at large connected to the June 2025 Yelwata massacre in Benue State, while 2 others are being tried for alleged reprisal attacks. And I'll take a statement from the DSS chief. He wrote, "The various arrests and trials of terrorism suspects show that Nigeria's security agencies have been diligent in dealing with the perpetrators of terror in the country. The men we are prosecuting are separate from hundreds of suspects under the military's protective custody, whose cases are being handled by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. In July last year, 125 of the terrorists were convicted. We shall continue to make the suspects accountable for disrupting the peace of our country in consonance with the rule of law." Vimbai, I'll take your comment instead of taking this tweet so that we'll have time to discuss. But I think that it is great to see the federal government, the secret police, highlight these terrorists that have been convicted. I mean, when I was reading some of the reports, I was wondering, how many terrorist groups do we have? Al-Shabaab, Lakwawewa, Boko Haram, Ansaru. All of these are the menace, the insecurity that we're dealing with in Nigeria. Well, kudos to the DSS.
Absolutely. And we shan't glorify them by, giving them, these names and honoring them by calling out their names, because they're wicked and evil people. However, I think it's important for us to congratulate and to commend the DSS, because we've seen that this particular administration of the DSS have been very consistent with regards to prosecution. And this is what we've been crying for. This is what we've been clamoring for, is that we hear that, some people have been caught, they've been arrested, and then we never hear the finality of it. We never see the convictions. We want to see more images of this, like this, where there are convictions and we know that, okay, this is the sentencing and so forth. And also we want to see a lot more consistency with regards to how we handle these cases of terrorism and banditry. Because, in the past we've had conflicting narratives around how we handle terrorists. Oh, are they supposed to be, reintroduced, repent and reintroduced into society? Are they supposed... So no more kid gloves. Let them be arrested, let them be prosecuted, let them be convicted. That is the only way to deal with this decisively and conclusively. Yes, yeah. And again, I really applaud this, shall I call it a new wave of transparency? Because earlier in the morning, I spoke about the trust deficit. The trust deficit, trust has been totally eroded. Very few people believe, when they hear that some suspects have been arrested and so forth, a lot of people no longer have faith in the system. Mm-hmm. So if we can see the continued and sustained communication, can see the continued and sustained following through, we as the media, we always do our part. If you give us the information or if we dig up the information, we always report it. But we want to see more coming from the authorities. Yeah. So congratulations, or let me commend rather the DSS. The DSS, yes. And the DG, Mr. Ajayi. And I hope that we can see more of this coming from the other security apparatus as well, and from the federal government, because this is it. tackle the problem. All the other thing is
right.
just, it's just
right.
embellishing as far as
Really,
I'm concerned.
that's
Just
what it
tackle.
is.
We want to see terrorists have been dealt with.
Yes, I look forward to the collaboration. Like I said, Ted Cruz in my other tweet said that he's willing and ready to name the government officials that are complicit in this terrorism, and which is really the beginning of tackling the menace, those who are funding the terrorists. We need to get them arrested.
Sorry, Oji,
well, meanwhile,
just very quickly,
yes,
in less than one sentence, what we also want to see is the beginning of people in IDP camps going home.
Going home, I like that. Beginning of people at the IDP camps going. Nigerians shouldn't be living in IDP camps.
Yeah,
well, meanwhile, in their own country. Meanwhile, in the wake of China's disapproval of Trump's threat of military action in Nigeria as part of, efforts to protect Christians from persecution, a 2023 report by British newspaper The Times alleged that Chinese nationals in Nigeria's mining sector are funding terrorist groups to secure access to the country's mineral reserves. The exclusive investigation, which has resurfaced online, suggests that through bribes and illegal transactions, Beijing could be indirectly funding terror in Nigeria. Well, according to research from SBM Intelligence, a Lagos-based analytical group, Chinese companies operating in conflict zones have been striking security deals with insurgents. The report revealed videos of militant leaders boasting that Chinese workers must pay them rent to operate in their territories, particularly in Zamfara and other northwestern states. Some Chinese nationals working informally as miners serve as runners for militant groups and control gold mining operations across remote areas. The report noted that Chinese contractors often smuggle minerals out illegally, with several arrests recorded, including 27 miners in Osun State in 2020 and a Chinese citizen jailed for 5 years in October for processing 25 tons of lithium-containing minerals. Well, this investigative report adds another complex international dimension to Nigeria's security crisis. The report highlights the menace of resource exploitation, raising questions about which foreign actors are truly destabilizing Nigeria and why. Senator Adams Oshiomhole also accused China of stealing Nigeria's resources and arming bandits and terrorist groups to protect their illegal mining sites. The former Edo State governor made the allegations in January this year. Let's take a look.
Those involved in this illegal mining, they use choppers. They procure arms exactly the same way as our militants were doing in the South. They give them arms, they use choppers to come and cut away the gold, and they take them out of this country and make billions of US dollars. And the federal government is not doing what it should be doing. I took this letter to the former president when I was national chairman of APC, and I said, call the general to give you more brief. In fact, what is happening, or what subsequently happened in that part of the country, was exactly what the general told me was going to happen. Because these guys have been weaponized by the illegal big men who deploy them, secure territories, and the weapon is meant to protect the Chinese and other foreigners who they actually employ to carry out the mining. And on occasion, they use the same weapon to carry out banditry, kidnapping, and all of the terrible things that are going on. Some retired military officers, army officers are involved in it. The day we can't tell the truth, this country cannot flourish. We can't change our, when it affects our people, we are at our best. We talk strong. Some other people appear to be above the law. That is what is going on with solid mineral. It is not that we don't know where it is. We have a whole survey of where we have what across the length and breadth of Nigeria.
All right, Ayo Adams Oshiomhole's statement highlights what many see as hypocrisy in China's position on Nigeria's security crisis. While Beijing has criticized Trump's intervention threats, allegations suggest Chinese mining operations may be directly contributing to the violence by funding and arming the very groups terrorizing Nigerian communities. Ayo, we've seen these reports.
So there's so many dimensions to this story, and it ties in with all that we have discussed earlier today. Number one is that yesterday we had said to be cautious about praising China's speaking up for Nigeria against the Trump's announcement and designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. At the end of the day, as has been mentioned, no one has the interest of Nigeria, or no country is altruistic in their interventions or diplomatic conversations with a nation. It's always country first. If only Nigeria too, in playing in this table, can put country first. I say this because Oji, it's not for a lack of intelligence or a lack of information, because we have had a number of people come out to make very significant claims like this, as the Senator Adams Oshiomhole had made on the floor of the Senate. Number one, we had a list released from Dubai around the financiers of banditry. We've had Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, give explosive interviews around the people who are funding or enabling banditry and territory. We've had a number of people, high-ranking people, come out to tell us who and who. But I said it and I continue to say it. It is a will to deal with these people. Yes. And so while we're congratulating the DSS for what they've done, when I was looking, I was like, oh, these are the small fries. Deal with the big fries, the ones that are actually behind it, the ones that are funding it. We love it, that they are coming to come and tell the people that are doing the legwork. Yeah. But let us go after the ones that are enabling it, because if you deal with these ones, as long as the enablers are still there, we will have an uproot of others who are willing to do the legwork, as long as money is there. Finally, at the end of this note, the former CDS had said that every time they apprehended terrorists, they found foreign currencies with them. Who are the people funding them?
Exactly.
There's foreign intervention or interference. Why are we not talking about that? So let's celebrate all these things, but we know the real issues. Until we tackle the real issues and have the political will to cut off the head of the big wigs, we're not going anywhere. So let us be very honest about this.
We don't have leaders that think of the interest of Nigeria. Pure and simple.
The Chinese
just
have
the interest of their own pockets.
They do.
They cannot
at this point. When you see
reports
Nigeria
to our nation without complicity by people on ground.
On ground.
So who are the
That's
ones
just
on ground that are
we don't have leaders that love our country.
When you see reports like this, this is what it is. It's evidence that these are the issues. But at the end of the day, we must tackle insecurity. We must tackle the people that are killing Nigerians. Before we take our mouse story, let me take this one. Meanwhile, former Niger Delta militant leader Asari Dokubo has issued a stark warning to Trump against any military intervention in Nigeria. Well, in a viral Facebook video, Dokubo delivered a defiant message warning that if the U.S. comes to Nigeria, they will all die, adding that Nigeria will become their graveyard. Let's take a look.
Let them come. Let Trump come with his America, and with you people, you all die. This lunatic. He wants to annex Canada. He wants Iceland. He wants to kill the president of Venezuela. He wants to kill the supreme leader of Iran. He wants to finish up Yemen. This sick lunatic. And that's why when they talk about America is a sick country, a country of mad people, insane people. And that's why they can elect a mad, insane idiot, a lunatic. Let them come down. Maybe they'll fly in the air. They will come down. When they come down, whether they will live here.
All right, Asari Dokubo, he has a militia.
Asari.
He's threatening the most powerful man in the world with his
and he has not been able to stamp his foot on insecurity.
Yes.
And he's cashing trips.
Yes.
We think it's a joking matter.
It's not a joke.
It's comedy.
Yes.
You know my reaction to what
Tell
is
us.
70-year-old man.
Who is that? He's 70? Is he 70? Is Asari 70? No, he's not up to 70. What does that mean?
Only you don't get the joke.
This is tell me what
let them take him to the forest.
It's Asari himself that used to say 70-year-old
man. Oh,
man.
I didn't even know that.
No,
okay.
the joke is on him.
Please.
70-year-old man.
So now I want to charge Asari Dokubo, since he knows that he can defeat, the Trump and all of the military. There is the Sambisa forest.
Wait.
No, you can just take your people to Sambisa forest right now. Make a hero out of yourself right now. We are ready for you. We're ready for you, Asari.
Have you seen the video of Asari doing press up?
No, I haven't. But he has a group. He has mercenaries. Yes, have you seen it?
You see, that's part of the illegality in Nigeria. Who is he that we have a group that will have guns and have weapons? But all of this is to smoothing his way into President Tinubu again. Because they really fought at some point. They really said, no, it's turn by turn at a point.
Yes, absolutely.
This country in a crook. Should people be having guns? Should people like Asari have people or brigade that have guns? You see, that's part of the insecurity we are talking in this country.
How do they have the approval to have the guns and all of that? Well, all right, that's another topic that I thought was important to highlight as well, because we're seeing very many dimensions to the insecurity that we are facing in Nigeria, from mining to religious persecution to kidnapping. All of these insecurity needs to be tackled by the Nigerian government. Now under milestones, we remember a towering figure in Nigerian history, Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. On the occasion of his 92nd posthumous birthday, born on November 4th, 1933, Ojukwu served as the president of the breakaway Republic of Biafra from 1967 to 1970 during Nigeria's devastating civil war that claimed millions of lives. As military governor of the then Eastern region, Ojukwu declared the independent Republic of Biafra on May 30th, 1967, following widespread killings of Igbos in northern Nigeria. He commanded the Biafran forces throughout the Nigerian Civil War against federal government troops. Following Biafra's defeat in January 1970, Ojukwu fled to Côte d'Ivoire, where he lived in exile for 13 years before receiving a presidential pardon from President Shehu Shagari in 1982. Upon his return to Nigeria, he transitioned into politics, contesting the 2003 presidential election and contesting as a senator representing Anambra State. Ojukwu died on November 26, 2011 in London at the age of 78. Before his death, he granted a series of interviews reflecting on the devastating effects of the Civil War.
The war was not Ojukwu's war. I happened on the Igbo situation at the time of the conflict. I did my duty to the best of my ability, and I am glad that Nigerians generally recognize this fact. One man could not have held the entire Nigeria and her allies for 3 years. The Igbo people felt threatened.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. And I will say to everyone, I led proudly the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail. It would all have been in vain.
Happy birthday, Ojukwu. There he says he does not think another war is necessary. Former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, captured the essence of Ojukwu's legacy in a post on X. He wrote, Ojukwu was more than a figure in our history. He embodied courage, intellect, dignity, and firm conviction. His life reminds us that leadership is not merely a position. It is a calling, a burden, and at times a test of one's deepest values. May his soul continue to rest in peace. I mean, I wanted to highlight this milestone because we're at crossroads right now in Nigeria, whether or not there's going to be military boots on ground from the United States, or the federal government is going to collaborate with the United States forces to tackle insecurity, is the most important time of our life. I believe Nigeria will survive at this point. I don't think...
I'm optimistic. I'm so bullish.
Yes.
I've never been that bullish. I've never been this cocksure about anything that Nigeria will survive, but we need to get leadership right and do well.
We need
the government must be honest with Nigeria and react to those reports one way or the other. And there is a way in which you also mobilize Nigerians, if you are honest with them, to fight anti-democratic forces. The government must go back to the drawing table. What could have led, haven't listened to those who have been arrested. And then, one way or the other, address the problems. As regards what is going on in the United States, again, yes, the two events, people may want to analyze them, but what is important show is the fact that Mr. Trump has drawn global attention to a crisis in Nigeria, which is that gunmen are killing citizens in Nigeria. If we try to reduce it to attacks on Christians, that is its own problem. But for us as Nigerians, and for the government has a duty under the Constitution to guarantee the life and property of every person living in Nigeria. If criminal gangs are now in control of force in the country, balance of force in our country is in favor of criminal element, the government must review its own counter-insurgency operations with a view to protecting Nigerians.
We're going to piggyback from that particular statement. When we come back, Nick Agule is a public affairs and policy analyst. He will join us in just a moment. He's already seated in our Abuja studios, but let's go for this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Nick Agule joins me. Mr. Agule, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to our viewers globally.
All right, it's a straight question I want to start with, and that has to do with whether or not the federal government is really responding to what Donald Trump is saying. I say that to say, yesterday, the Honorable Minister had railed out, I think, over 10,000 terrorists that have been killed, and within that number also arrested, and some surrendered, hostages released, and all of it, just to show the effort of government to say your narrative may not totally be accurate. Also, the citing of, I think, Section 10 to talk about it's a secular state. No religion is supposed to be predominantly over the other religion. We even had a cabinet member say the president is married to a Christian, so there's no premise, all kinds of responses. But I feel that what is in front of the president of America is the death toll. And in that death toll, perhaps disproportionately tilting against the Christian, which is why he's saying there's a genocide act or we will act. So do you think the government is really responding to what Donald Trump is saying?
Thank you very much for that question. I think first and foremost, there are a lot of people who are having differing views about what is happening and the mission statement from Donald Trump to intervene in Nigeria. And for most people, it's because Donald Trump says there is Christian genocide. Perhaps they don't like those two words, Christian genocide. So perhaps for the sake of analysis and for us to achieve unity of purpose, let us say there is, let's take out Christian genocide out of it, but look at the human losses. The human losses are enormous. And I mean, I'm not trying to say there has not been targeted Christian attacks, because if you look at the Owo church massacre, you look at Balom in Benue, Ayetwa in Benue, you look at Madala, these were specific attacks against Christian communities. Because like Owo, they came into the town, a sprawling town, there are banks, there are businesses, other concerns, they never went to them, they never attacked them, they went straight to a church, attacked the church, and left. If that is not a targeted attack, I wonder what it is. But what I'm saying is that if that is what is generating controversy, let us keep it aside and look at the human losses. Nigerians are being killed, are being slaughtered in their hundreds. The very recent one is in Yewata. where these people came to a sleepy community, and all they were doing was that they break open a door, throw petrol into the room, and set the room on fire. So that everything in the room, children, women, pregnant, nursing mothers, defenseless men, were all incinerated. And this thing went on for hours without any intervention from the security forces. And then and they were allowed to go. You know, so if you look at this kind of situation, which appears as if the Nigerian security architecture is not on top of protecting the citizens, then that is the conversation that we should be having. Because in the past few days, we have now come to hear that bandits and terrorists are fleeing Nigeria, which has led to reports that Chad and even Cameroon are locking their borders. I mean, for the mere fact that these bad guys are afraid of the American military, and they are now taking flight just by the American president saying, we are coming. Whereas they were comfortably settled in Nigeria in places that even the military calls ungoverned spaces, is something that the president, as commander-in-chief, must think about. He must call his commanders and ask them, why are these bandits and terrorists not afraid of you guys? But they have started to run away just by American forces being said to be programmed to come. I think it's something that we really need to look at. So whilst we go to the international community to put all sorts of explanations out to say there is no Christian genocide and all of that, we cannot say there has not been killings and mass killings in Nigeria. And the response that Nigeria needs to give to that is to stop it, is to stop the killings. It's not about giving statistics of 10,000 terrorists or so haven't been killed. In Nigeria today, if the bandits and the terrorists that attacked Yelewata come back tonight, is there anything in place to stop them? That is the big question we have to answer. And Nigeria just needs to put that in place. Otherwise, I think the rhetoric is not going to serve any purpose.
One of the questions I've asked my guests is, so what in the immediate term will be the drastic reaction that would deter the American armies from heading in this direction? Because the argument here is that perhaps the American government is not necessarily saying it's a state-backed targeted attacks on Christians, but perhaps the docility of the state, quote and unquote, or conspiracy of silence, as he said in some part, or insufficient reaction to deter whoever they are killing, Christians or Muslim, is what the Americans are saying. They chose their own part to say Christian genocide. You know, at the end of the day, the persons are saying, look, we just want this death to stop. That is what everybody wants, whether you are for the word or you're against it. So drastically, what has to happen for the Americans to say, we are incoming? I think we've seen some effort.
I think I agree with you totally. We shouldn't try to minimize what is happening by going into this controversy as to whether there is Christian genocide or not. Like I said, let's park that. Let's look at the human losses. The human losses by Christians, by Muslims, by atheists, by Nigerians. We don't feel safe. We don't feel safe. Even our leaders don't feel safe. If you look at a typical convoy of a Nigerian leader, it's as if they are going to a war zone. This convoy is going to have gun trucks with the military guarding them, but we Nigerians, the ordinary citizens, don't feel that safe. So what must the president, as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, do to stop the American mission to Nigeria? Is for our military and the police and the other security agencies, including the intelligence community, to give us value for money. These people have been getting the highest chunk of the budget year in, year out. And yet the insecurity is increasing. You will expect that the quantum of budget and the level of insecurity should have a negative variation. Meaning, as we pump more money into security, insecurity should be going down. But it seems to be the other way around. As more money is being pumped into the security architecture, the incidents of insecurity are rising. And I think Mr. President's body language is not comforting. And how do I mean? Mr. President was asked at a television interview that your predecessor, President Buhari, probed the military hierarchy. Are you going to do the same? And Mr. President said, no, he's not going to probe them. In his words, he said that will be disrespecting the institution. And I think that kind of body language from the president is counterproductive. He should put the military architecture and other security agencies on the spot. They must deliver value to Nigerians. Nigerians must feel safe. We should be able to conduct business in Nigeria without a fear of our lives. You know, one of the criteria to determine whether a state is failing or failed is the inability of the state to protect the citizens, and the possibility of the presence of armed groups taking territory in Nigeria. As we speak today, there are armed groups that have taken territory in Nigeria. They are running their own governments. They are collecting taxes from the residents. And Nigeria does not have control over our borders. These people come in and go out. These are clear signs of a state that is failing. And so to stop the American mission, the president has to show real competence that these things are going to stop.
Mr. Agule, you know, I always reference the fact that those of us who live in the city center, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, we may not understand the enormity of what the locals in the hinterlands are dealing with. So for them, whether they are in the line on the path to hindering economic exploitation, and so they become disposables in the eyes of these miscreants and these enemies of state. For them, and they are within the Christian enclave, for them, whoever has to come and save them is inconsequential. Whatever is a long-term impact, because we know how it ends when America shows up in any territory. It never ends well. There could be that short-term gain and eventually the long-term impact. So my question is, for the locals, what kind of movement do they need to see from the government of Nigeria to reassure them that they will be protected? I can dare to say that even if it's the worst form of rescue or salvation that comes through for them to stop the killing, they don't really care. But what can the government do to reassure them that, look, we really care? Because for them, government doesn't care. So America can come and gun blazing and blow up everywhere.
I fully align with what you have said. In a social media post, I say that if a gun is put to my head and I'm to choose between my life or sovereignty of Nigeria, I will choose my life, of course. And you know, someone posted on social media and said that he will prefer to die in the hands of American soldiers than to die in the hands of cheap bandits and terrorists. And this is the mood that Nigerians have. Well, it doesn't matter to Nigerians. We just want this thing to stop. So if the Nigerian state has shown incapability and incompetence, if I would like to put it that way, over the years to protect Nigerians, and we now have situations where Nigerians can be taken hostage and no help comes to them, then we can take help from anywhere. It doesn't matter. We just want to be alive. Because without life, what else can happen? But then I want to pass a message to the Nigerian security architecture. Yeah, we have a chief of defense staff, a four-star general who is in office now. He's possibly listening to us. And we have the service chiefs. We have a full architecture of the tri-service of the military. We have the police, the civil defense. We have the intelligence community. We can't continue doing the same thing and expecting different results. Nobody does security in the modern world as Nigeria is doing. There is no way you can secure the nation when you disperse your troops at checkpoints all over the nation, where you are not adopting technology, where you don't have things like a fingerprint data bank. Look, when you are appointed the chief of defense staff, you cannot come and see security by roadblocks with firewood on the road and then leave. No, you must change it. You must say, no, we're not going to do this. Instead of dispersing these security men all over the country. We are going to demobilize all the roadblocks. We are going to put these security men in super camps so that they themselves are protected. Because when you leave them at that checkpoint, you have left them vulnerable because anybody can come there and kill them and take their arms. But if you demobilize them from the road and put them into super camp so that if there's an incident, they can then respond to that incident, deal with it, and return to their fortified super camp. And that will be also technology. How can you have a police inspector general who does not have an emergency number for citizens to report intelligence and crime? A simple thing like a 999 number, Nigeria does not have. So if you're an IG, you should be thinking about that. We don't have a fingerprint database. You know, with fingerprint database, if a crime happens, they will come and then take the fingerprint, put it in a database, and they know who was in that place. We don't have CCTVs in our cities. These are the kind of things that security elsewhere are using to be able to stop crime, or if crime happens, they're able to track the perpetrators very quickly. And Nigeria cannot be doing the same thing every year, year in, year out. How can these roadblocks help us in terms of securing the nation? There must be a change.
Well said. I think at the end of the day, we're all saying the same thing differently. I think what is unacceptable is to deny what is going on, which sometimes we see in certain places. You know, if the reality of the persons who are affected, I say, were Christians, were targeted, that is their reality. You can't dismiss it. But as you said, it's about human beings, whether they are Christians or Muslims or whether they believe in anything or they don't believe. As long as they are citizens, our government has a responsibility to protect them.
Many people have been talking about Sheikh Gumi. Why is he still working freely? Why would the National Assembly say they don't see him? Will the Nigerian military, Nigerian police, DSS say they don't see what Sheikh Gumi is doing? He negotiates on the bandits. He pleads on their behalf. He talks for them. He has his son in the military. He was an ex-military man. Nigerians are just wondering, why are they mute? I think the North wields a lot of power in this country. You know, the North is really powerful. They didn't go to school, but they are this powerful. You can imagine if somebody like Sheikh Gumi was to have come from the southeast or any of the southern part of the country. They would have made a mess of him. He would have been spending his lifetime in jail. Anyway, let me take you through some of the reactions from Nigerians after the guy posted a video saying, why is Sheikh Gumi still working freely, but nnamdi Kanu is in jail? This person said, don't forget you are speaking without evidence. Just be careful. Just be careful. And this person say, honestly, the evidence is very, very clear. This person said, that's the terrorist and bandit spokesperson. The government won't arrest him because they are in bed with each other. But we have bad news for them because their time is up. We need no middleman between government and terrorists in Nigeria. Nigeria should wipe out all terror organizations. I think that's just where we stand now. Wipe them out, you know, wipe them out. Nigeria enemy, one day they must be destroyed. They must be destroyed. Sheikh Gumi and his entire lineage deserves death by hanging. This one say now can understand why we need Biafra, but they will come to tell us, no, you are not for the eastern part. You are not for the eastern part now. You are a south. And some Mugu will say, but okay, let me leave that. This person, dear Donald Trump, this is the leader of the bandit terrorizing Nigerian Christians in Nigeria. This person here say, I beg Koboko, next time. I beg Koboko, next time you do this kind of video, I beg, no, they show your face, please. I use God, they beg them, beg them. I use God, beg you, them they spy everywhere. I beg, I love your contents, thanks. And this other person say, Donald Trump, White House, evidence everywhere. Go after illegitimate president and vice, APC, criminal politicians, bandits, negotiators. Donald Trump, this is the terrorist negotiator and sympathizer. He needs to face International Criminal Court. You see, this person says no graveyard for terrorists. They only have graves for everyone who tries to fight terrorists, even if the person is one of their own army, mentally deranged, barbaric animals. This person now say, maybe we should just start this war with them before Trump comes. How can a terrorist like Gumi be walking freely, saying all sorts of nonsense and nothing is happening to him? How did I become a Nigerian? Ew. How did I become a Nigerian, honestly? This person said, just imagine the system is just rubbish. The Gumi is the one in charge. If that Gumi is the one in charge of all the terrorists and all that, and he no even hide them. This person say, make them check this man. This everyone is quiet. Everyone is quiet. This man have strong men supporting him in government house. you know, what this guy just said makes sense, because there's no way Gumi will be supporting all these people and nobody's coming after him. Forgiving terrorists is God's job. Sending them to him is government job. Gumi is Peter Obi's ally. Can you imagine? Next time, tag Donald Trump. Lower your voice, boy. That man is the real government. Your president, government, and Senate are his boys. God bless you for making this video. This man needs to be arrested and executed if we truly want to end banditry. Can you, Baboon, tell us who Gumi ever instructed to kill? Or can you provide any video where he ever encouraged violence? Look at what you say. I'm speechless. Some insane Nigerians are talking trash because they are senseless. Anyway, this is coming after somebody posted about Gumi, saying, why is Gumi still working freely despite all his romance with bandits in Nigeria? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.